you need that, Robby?
Thank you. Awesome. What do you think? You know, I'll reiterate the last guy that was in here. It's one bad man pajama.
Incredible.
What do you think?
It's incredible. Suspension is nuts, man.
Yeah.
Nuts.
What do you guys think?
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's the best UTV I've ever been in.
That was
amazing.
fun. Awesome. Really fast.
It's got good low speed pulling power.
That's
pretty cool about that.
Shattering apart.
Cruising.
Solid as a rock.
Right on. Real deal. It's good stuff. It's awesome.
All right, thought we'd just play that a little bit, and then we'll get into tonight's show. So thanks for joining in. Daniel, go ahead and flick to the next page. Actually, while I'm up, why don't, and Rob's trying to get his Facebook back rolling again. I want to show you some light bar stuff that we have now in stock, and pretty cool. I mean, it's every little piece, but you can't mount a light bar and have a bracket without the light sticking out. So we made end cap covers, all kinds of nice little details, so you can actually bolt the light onto a nice bracket and have it sit flush. So really, really nice small details. Then the engine, I know a lot of people ask us, is it covered? Yes, the belt is covered. Is it sealed 100%? The answer is no. You cannot seal it 100%. So there is an access on the backside, but as you see, it's covered from the tires and the rocks flinging up at it. We'll get into rocks and stuff flinging up at it, but this is another engine that Tony just did that is on the dyno this weekend. So this one has a little bit extra fun in it, and this will be stuff we're learning with. Outside, this is more aftermarket performance items for the future. Is that a fair way to say it, Daniel? Racing, performance, future.
Big power.
So hopefully big power. Look forward to seeing that. Someone said they're looking for an extra 1,000 RPM. Right there. It's in there. All right. I'll move this back over and get it situated, and we'll do this up. Lots and lots and lots of parts come in. We leave town, and parts show up when we get back. These are the speed flags are in. This has color changing. What choices do we get?
Any color.
8 colors? Any color. RGB. So this is the speed whip, and any color. This is what is coming on the car. Anybody order whips. And let's go. Next page. Mint. The reason we're talking about the Mint, we really haven't been back in the office since the Mint, because that's where we really started our test, as we were out in Johnson Valley and had a problem with the chase truck and put 60 miles on the highway on the black and gold car to go get some wheel studs. So the next day, Max and me raced the Mint. We started last in the NA class, and by the third lap, we were physically first vehicle on the road. So not only were we leading on corrected time, we were first vehicle on the road. And unfortunately, we broke another steering U-joint. And this car has all the hot rod steering stuff on it. Super ATV makes a wonderful aftermarket, high-powered power steering system. And unfortunately, with the speed this car goes down through the bumps, it broke another U-joint. And this is more confirmation of exactly why we built hydraulic power steering on the Speed UTV. So the only reason that slide's up there is every time we go to the racetrack, we learn, and we learned again that we made the right decision with hydraulic power steering, very similar to what's on a KOH car, on trophy trucks, on Class 1 cars. You've got to have a hydraulic ram down there supporting the tie rods. You can put big tie rods on the car all you want, but if you break U-joints, because that's the weakest link between the steering rack and the hydraulic power steering. We've crashed like this before. Crashed at Parker last year like that. We broke one at the Worlds, UTV Worlds this year. In the NA race, we beefed it up in time for the Pro Turbo race where we finished second. And then we had it happen again here at the Mint, which is a bummer because they've taken 1 min away from them already, and we had this one in the bag pretty easy. So cruised all day long. Probably the coolest thing we did all day, because I rode with them from lap 2 to lap 3. Kellen Walsh rode the first lap. But passing and putting the bumper to Fortin's turbo car and catching them in the bumps. I don't know what kind of situation they were having, but when they passed us back on the dry lake bed, it looked like they didn't have any kind of power issues at that point because they freight trained us probably 20 mile an hour faster we were going because it's an NA versus a Pro Turbo. And in the bumps, this car's good. It's really, really good, especially for a short wheelbase car like it is. So maybe that'll be Max's last race in the Double X. I don't know. It depends on how the next couple of days go with this hot rod right here. And if it goes like I think, might have to break that silver car back out and cut him loose because I'm tired of DNFs. The kid deserves more. He's worked hard on it, preps the car himself, and we really aren't having mechanical issues. We're having part failure issues, and that's a bummer. Put a lot of effort into it. And like I said, 8 days of testing, averaged over 100 miles a day. People will look at me and say, 100 miles a day? You guys didn't do anything. What I want you guys to understand is we're not doing your average Baja style testing. We're not on gravel roads at 50, 60 miles an hour. We're down in the 20s to 30 mile an hour average. And what we're focused on is the consumer that is buying the car to take his family out for a weekend ride. So we focus on slow speed rocks, which we know what the average speed in the rocks can be. Even though single bash rocks pretty hard, the average is probably 10 or 15 miles an hour in the big rocks. In the sand we're playing in, I'm loading the belt hard. I'm working it in all gears, just making sure that we're learning what the customer needs, and we have a very drivable car. The other thing is we've worked on the suspension so that it's good for cruising, but it's also good because it has bump zone built into the shocks and has bottom out control, and it's really, really good in the big bumps. And actually, the faster you go, it kind of pops up and gets up on top of them. And I had some guys that race in the industry, reputable names that has probably one of the best race cars in the industry. I won't say who it is, but he does have a Guthrie car, a really, really nice one. And he came out and said that our production four-seater is as good or better than his race car in the bumps and in the handling. And we know it's better in the corners because it has a much lower roll center and center of gravity without the 5 links, or 3 links, or 4 links, or whatever you want to call them, without radius rods. How about that? All right, go to the next page. Just cool pictures. Went out to one of Patton's areas. This was the day we did some high-speed stuff. The nice thing is we were coming out of Midway, heading east, due east about 10, 12 miles from Midway. And that's the place that you guys have seen where Justin hit the cow, as well as where Serapis hit the cow in the trophy truck a few years ago. On that road, 75 miles an hour, around 6,500 RPM. We've got it geared down so you can shift it into overdrive, and it's just a pleasant drive. It doesn't have the engine sitting there all revved out. That's really what we built the overdrive for, is gravel roads like that. highway transfer zones, going from a highway to a next riding zone, really just cruising. So instead of sitting there right at peak RPM, grab a gear, 75 miles an hour, 6,500, 7,000 RPM, just buzzing along. We are going to release this car to the general public with about an 8,500 RPM rev limiter in it. This one here, our goal is to play with this and twist it 10,000. So 10,000 RPM for our race versions, 8,500 for production. We hope 10,000 RPM. Tune in on Saturday, let you know how it goes. And then that's just more shots of the deal. Climbing rocks, we got into a canyon. It's pretty cool when you just literally click the thing into four-wheel drive, and you can climb walls with these things. They're amazing. It's not just our car. All UTVs are very agile and very good in the rocks. And it's just funny. It's like, okay, we're in a canyon, and everybody's trying to tuck into the zone, and I'm like, I'll just drive up the wall. Four-seater's a little longer, so it gets farther up the wall. Things we did learn. We thought, and we told a lot of customers that we thought we had the main seal leaking at the test. And we ran for a couple days. You guys probably laugh at us, but we were 100% convinced that the main seal was leaking on the engine. And we said, okay, we'll just keep it topped off with oil, and we'll get a better main seal, or make sure, maybe Tony tore it installing it. And Tony pounded the table and said, absolutely no way. There's no way the main seal's leaking. It's a good main seal. And we checked the turbo lines. We checked all kinds of other things. At the end of the test, we pulled all the CVT covers off, the mid plates, all the plates it takes. You want to grab one of those for me? It's a project. Yeah, this is not the actual plate, but we had to remove this tie plate here that we use as part of our structure. And this guy right here, this one somehow came loose. Tony says he tightened it, swears it was tight, came loose and leaked a lot of oil. So this is obviously in this package, and we have talked with all of our manufacturing partners about a change for that, because this is the second time it's come loose. It came loose here at this test, came loose on the dyno one time as well. Obviously, we'll look at some kind of thread locker, but that's the engine. Engine block is running 220 degrees, 230 degrees potentially. So we could have things just vibrating loose. Learned something here with this. Wasn't a big deal. I'm glad we continued to run the test instead of yank the motor out and send it back to Charlotte, because that would have been pretty embarrassing. But once we got the mid plate off and we can get into it, you can see how the oil is clean here and kind of ran down there and gave us a false reading. One thing, you got to say, well, why didn't you just work on it? Well, we did, but at this test, we left, I don't want to say all the mechanics home, but we left the mechanics home and had the engineers at the test, because I think it's important that the engineers have to actually work on the car as well, besides design it, which Daniel and Jason and Mike, they all do a really good job. But I think it's important that they have to work on the car so that if we struggle to get something apart or things come loose, it gets documented, because we want to make sure it doesn't happen on your car. So we had all the engineers there at the test and basically gathered data. We worked on the car. We really, really paid attention to everything we were doing, and everything's documented, so what we learned there doesn't happen on our production cars. This is why we test. We weren't out there just bashing miles and joyriding. We were putting miles on, and there was lots of things, small, little stuff that has caught our attention. We talked about this the other day, the oil sight tube. For me, I wanted to have a sight tube like what I have on the trophy truck. I wanted this on the production vehicle. The material we used cracked that. People say, oh, a rock hit that. A rock didn't hit that. We've had a couple of them crack on the dyno that look very similar. And it's either a temperature, hot oil, cool air, or something is coming up with a crack there. So that will be fixed and addressed. And that's another thing we learned at this last test, and it will be addressed before all production cars. This one here, car drove really, really, really good. And in 200 miles, we had a CVT come apart on us. And it's like, why did it come apart? But if you zoom in here, and there you go, Daniel can show, you can see that the bearing popped out. So all that happened was that bearing split right there, and it wasn't staked. You can see the stakes around the outside. That crimps the material, aluminum material, and holds the bearing in. We're looking at a potential better fix than that, but we believe that this one that we had was our latest production part that failed that bearing, and only failed the bearing because it pushed itself out. This one here, put stake in it. It went 500 miles with no issues. Obviously, we have other stuff going a lot more miles than that. Oversight, documented, noted. Make sure that it gets QC checked before it ends up on your car. Sway bars. I believe we broke the sway bars in the camel grass. And the camel grass, for me, is probably the gnarliest stuff I have ever driven in or ridden in my life. It was something we learned at the Dakar. I searched around Arizona. I found some. We play in it. It articulates the car at high speed. So basically, one shock up, one shock down, full motion. Stuff that you wouldn't really get on a 7-post. There's nothing like RWE, real world experience. Boom, we broke it. Obviously, checking with our suppliers, making sure the material meets specifications. But this is the first one that we have broke of these. And obviously, that's concerning for us. So a sway bar has to go more than 800 miles. All right? Lots. Todd invited people out. We lost potentially 2 days of some valuable testing, but I think at the same time, and someone always said, "Oh, it's an infomercial." No, these are our customers. These aren't people just riding in the car. These were our customers. They got to ride in the car if they had a master number. We checked up their names. We found out who they were, that it's real, and they were ecstatic. They had a great time, had a lot of fun, and just was a really, really good experience for them because it allowed them to see what we do, and at the same time, it showed what our potential issues are right in front of our customers, which we're not afraid of those. It's what we address. It's what we thrive for. And pretty much everybody that climbed out of the car was in awe of the drivability, the handling. Had a few of them talk about the gear noise, and the gear noise is being addressed. That is part of our straight cut gears and gear lash. Those things are being addressed, and we will do our best to make it as quiet as possible. But remember, we built a robust, strong transmission and front diff that you can take out and go beat. Headsets on, you never even notice it, but I do notice it with no headsets on and a windshield cruising down the highway. Something we're working on, something we'll make better before we hit production, and it's well noted. I want to thank everybody that came out. Even someone's dog was trying to hop a ride. There was no seat for him. He was drooling. He was so excited. So
we got a big bunch of beef jerky that day.
He got some beef jerky that day, and he had a good time. But as you see, it was even the dogs were smiling. Really cool article that Ron did for us. He came out, I want to say that was Sunday after the Met. I invited him over where we were. He hung out in the garage for us a while. We were working on stuff, went for some rides, and asked his, I think it was 9 questions. And it's in Havasu now. Daniel gave you the link over there. And basically, it's the truth. It's where we're at. It's what's going on. And it's why we continue to do these shows every week when sometimes there's really just nothing to share with you guys because it's part of the process. We don't build every one of these components here at Speed. We design them, we contact suppliers, manufacturers, component makers to help us make parts. And this is how we end up with a production engine. And we've done it, some people say we haven't done it fast, but think about it, engine, gearbox, tires, wheels, shocks, every single component. And then people say, well, why'd you do that? If we didn't do that, unfortunately, you guys would be sitting in a $100,000 car here, and we wouldn't have 16,000 customers like we do. So the reality is we had to do it this way to build an affordable car that the average Joe that wants to go out and ride and play Robby Gordon can go out and ride and play Robby Gordon, have fun. And the car's impressive. It's a lot of fun. I have as much fun driving this as I do driving my trophy truck or an SST truck. These cars are rad, and we have put our heart and soul into these things for the last two and a half years. We're 2.5 years from when we showed a concept car, and I think Daniel, you started in January
on the UTV.
On the
I've
UTV.
been here since the summer.
Yep. You came and did the summer before that, and started the UTV in January of 20. So he's done a hell of a job. It's a gnarly project to take on. It's a life-changing project, and COVID probably helped us in the engineering side and hurts us in the manufacturing side, but it is what it is. Do our best we can every day. Thank you for joining in. What do we got here? Development never sleeps, and that's for sure. We talk about this engine that we're developing here, and talking with Tony, they're still developing a Chevy 350 V8 from the 70s, and it still gets developed weekly. And we work around the clock to bring you the best product, and it's real and it's true. As you've seen, my hair has fallen out. I've gotten older during this project. I believe I've gotten wiser during this project, and I do need a haircut. But we've been on the road. There hasn't even been time for a haircut.
Someone said grow it out.
Grow it out, let it roll. I don't know if you guys have seen Max. It's starting to look like a little hippie. But thank you again for tuning in tonight. You guys have a great week. We will get this posted. I don't know how we'll get my Instagram one because I believe the YouTube and the Facebook feed went down. We don't know why it's happened a couple times.
They just missed the video.
I missed the video. You can go to my Instagram and see the video, or it's on the YouTube page. But we are having some internet issues here at the shop today. And what else is new? Have a good day.